Hello, cats and kittens. Orewa Jose Yoroshiku. Welcome back to the Crisis Corner. We are in the Creative Corner, continuing the Creator Commentary series on Intrepid. We're in Chapter 3, Death Scene. And just for a refresher, the Creator Commentary sessions are just me or any of our creators, me at this point, speaking on the motivations, the thought process, the creative process of making our books, just to give you an insight on the thought process. With Intrepid, as I said before, it's a progressive story. It's character driven. And when I say progressive, I mean it escalates. Yes, it escalates. So the themes behind the first chapter were essentially, it's called preamble. It's basically the preamble or the overture to the story. You get to meet Joseph Paxson, you get to meet Annabelle Scaglione, who are the primary characters of the series, the protagonists, primarily. There are other people in the crew that will be called Intrepid, but those are the two main ones that you need to worry about. You meet them, but you don't get a whole lot of their backstory, but that comes along. But the main thing we know that Annabella Scaglione is, she wants to be a hero, but she lives and she exists in a world that is deprived of heroes or doesn't have heroes due to the incident that took place 40 or so years prior to the story. So she longs to live the life of a hero, but she can't. It's not possible for her at this time. Whereas Joseph Paxson is an escaped fugitive, wanted by the police, hunted down. Apparently, he's capable of defeating 140 something uh, prison guards with his bare hands. He escapes, and he's looking for somebody named Nadia. Second chapter, we find out who Nadia is, and so he's actually been betrayed. The people that are looking for him are traitors to the government, the federal agency that he worked for. All of his teammates have been captured and turned into weapons of mass destruction, all been killed. The only one left is Nadia Maria Chavez, his best friend, his lieutenant commander, and he's going back to save her no matter what. He teams up with Keith Dawson, who's running a bar in San Miguel, the city where the town where Nadia is. They are attacked by some of his former teammates who have been turned into mindless weapons of mass destruction. They narrowly escape with their lives. That's the last we've seen of them. Sadly, at the end of chapter 2, the order is given to those two who attacked Paxson and Keith Dawson, his former teammates, the Applegate brothers, to eliminate anyone who could have seen Paxson because he is supposed to be dead. He and Nadia and all of his crew are supposed to be dead. They're supposed to have been dead for an entire year, as far as anyone knows. It's kind of like a Capricorn 1 type situation. Google that movie, you'll get the idea. So the Applegate brothers are to eliminate anyone who could have seen them. This brings us to Death Scene. First of all, this cover is off the hook. I did a commentary on the covers to this issue. I'll attach a link to it, but this is probably one of my favorite covers. The stained glass from the church where Nadia is being held, and her in her zombified form coming through the glass is brilliant. It's insane. Anyway, there's that. So that's the setup. We get into the story. Now, the interesting thing about this story is that where you met Paxson, you met Annabella, you met Keith. The American manga aspect of this story is that you have the American superhero aspect, although you may not recognize Intrepid as being a superhero book. at this moment, but it truly is. We're going to see some heroes in a couple of chapters. In the next chapter, in the next chapter, we're going to actually meet some heroes. But it's a superhero book, but the manga aspect is the character development. This issue is letting you know who Nadia Chavez is, and specifically who is she to Joseph Paxton. We're seeing her in her last moments of life. Uh, she's seasoned basically, and the doctors who are trying to convert her into a weapon of mass destruction are not doing very well. As we can see from this first page, they're getting annihilated. And the primary doctor who is working on her is begging for help. You see, they're in a church they're in the basement of a church in San Miguel, the same city that Paxton, same town that Paxton was in. So he's not far from where Paxton was last seen. But like I say, they're having their problems because she's rejecting the alien technology they tried to graft into her. And in doing so, she's killing these people off. So they need help. It's a pretty sad and grisly scene. It is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, so these guys are getting killed, and they're saying, "Help us, help us. We need help. We can't control her. The restraints are. She's breaking through the restraints. We're trying to sedate her. Nothing's working." And Thaddeus Payne, the person who the doctor is pleading to, tells him basically, "We can't help you right now. There's nothing we can do." And the doctor asks why. He says basically because the two guys that were supposed to sterilize the town, well, as we can see, they did a pretty good job. They annihilated San Miguel. And the Mexican government has sent basically their National Guard to investigate who did this. Okay, so if they're investigating who did this, and then we show up there with American troops and to liberate dudes who are doing illegal experiments in the church under, we can't help you because that puts our fingerprints all over this, and we can't be involved in this right now. So you guys get that woman under control quick. You're on your own. Just get her under control, deal with it. Basically, I got problems of my own is what Payne is telling Garver. You just see to it. And then he hangs up. That's it. So Garver tries his best. He sedates her. He hits her with the syringe. And that kicks off our flashback. She screams. She's still speaking alien gibberish that the readers can't understand. I know what she's saying, but she screams. Her sonic scream goes out, shatters glass everywhere. And then we go into our flashback, which is another staple of manga, which lets you know this is American manga. We got to have flashbacks. And the flashbacks are relevant to the relationship between Joseph Paxton and Nadia Chavez. And without going into specifics, the main thing here is to show you that these two, they're tighter than tight. They're going through this training session, which is, they're soldiers. They train. So all the while they're training, they have this playful banter. So I wouldn't say it's really playful. She's serious. She wants. Yeah, they're having he's playing around because, without getting into it too much, he's basically training her. He's well advanced with her in terms of martial arts. So it's even had this little cute scene where she asks, can't you at least try to break a sweat? And he actually struggles and actually, I thought that was funny anyway. So he struggles and muscles up a sweat because he's not going all out against her. And the main reason he's not going all out against her is because if he went all out against her, it wouldn't end well. And there's no need for that. Anyway, they're friends. They're friends. They're closer than friends. That's like his little. It's like a big brother, little sister situation. And the whole point of this was to get you to feel that connection. The gist of this conversation is she wants to know if another one of their teammates is interested in her because she's got a crush on this guy and he's stuck in the middle playing middleman between the two. And all of this fight is taking place so she can find out whether he knows if that person likes her or not. That's it. That's the gist of the whole conversation. So all of this illustrates the fact that they are extremely close. They are extremely close. For the most part, I would say it's a platonic relationship. Yes, I would say it's a platonic relationship, but it's a very, very, very deep relationship. All this is taking place in this flashback. Another question is, whose flashback is this? Is this her last memories before she dies, which one would assume? But within this flashback, we see her. She suddenly doubles over and she's screaming, saying it hurts. Why are they doing this to me? They're killing me and whatever. And then she starts to transform into the monster that we saw in the lab. And then Paxton wakes up. Okay, so whose dream was this? Probably his. Was it his last memory? Was it her last memory or his nightmare? I could answer that question, but I'm not going to. But again, that shows the tightness. These two, they're tight. Then we rejoin Paxton and Dawson, and we find out that they left San Miguel. They're about 20 miles away in a hidden bunker that Keith Dawson obtained by some nefarious means. And that goes into Dawson's character. He's an enigma. He's a bit older than he looks. He says he obtained this bunker 30 years ago in a card game. If you can take that, you take everything he has to say with a grain of salt. But anyway, it's his. They're there, so clearly it must be his. And it's stocked with weapons and outdated technology. You see, it got a dot matrix printer, which I thought was funny also. But Paxton is just determined to go back to San Miguel and find out if Nadia is still alive, but he seems to be in bad shape. Keith's point is wait until help comes. Apparently he called someone for help. Just wait till help comes and I get you checked out, and then we'll figure out, whether your girl is alive or not. Because actually, this situation is of interest to Dawson because he was living in San Miguel. Those people who got killed were his friends, or at least his patrons. So it's not like he doesn't have any skin in the game. He wants to find out what happened just as badly as Paxton wants to save his friend. But he's like, it doesn't make any sense either way because you're not in any condition to fight. So wait until help comes and we'll go back and settle the score with whatever. Paxton's not hearing it, so Keith basically holds him at gunpoint. You're going to wait. And Paxton nearly passes out. And at that point, help arrives, and we find out that it is none other than Annabelle Leone and her father, Vincent, whom apparently Keith knows. At this point, the stage is set. These four individuals are the primary members of the team that will be called Intrepid. Again, they haven't formed this team yet formally. They're going to have an adventure, and they're going to have to band together and fight together before this arc is over, but they're not officially a team yet. And there are no heroes in the United States yet because they're banned at this time. There may be those who are underground calling themselves heroes, but they are actually being hunted down because they're in violation of federal law. So at this point, there are no heroes in the United States recognized in the United States, and eventually the Intrepid team is going to be the first of the second heroic age. But this is how they all met. This is the first time the four of them were all together in one spot. And that's Death Scene. And okay, after that, you could say basically the epilogue is at this point, we see the last gasp of Nadia Chavez. And her last words, relatively speaking, are why. That she really doesn't understand why any of this happened. Neither does Paxton for that matter, but all of this was done to them. They're the victims of a betrayal. And she winds up dying not knowing why any of this happened in the first place. It's pretty sad when you think about it. It's pretty sad if you don't think about it. Anyway, the problem is when she dies, is Dr. Garver was explaining to Thaddeus Payne is that since they weren't, if she dies, the technology that they grafted into her takes over without a brain to control it. Had they managed to condition her brain and keep her alive, everything would be fine. She'd just be a mind wipe slave like the rest of her former comrades under their control. But now all they have is the biotech that they grafted into her, which is sentient. And apparently the only thing that tech knows how to do is kill indiscriminately. That's why they needed a conditioned human brain. They needed that biotech slave to a conditioned human brain. Otherwise, it's just going to come, it's going to take over her body and just commence to slaughter, which, as we see, is the case. The National Guard has swept through San Miguel. They found nothing left alive until they come upon this church. The only thing left that comes out of that church is Garver, who apparently is missing an arm, who actually is missing an arm. And the next thing they see coming out of that door is Nadia. And she's in a zombified, I guess you could say. The tech has taken over. And she doesn't say anything except for this one alien word that they can't really, they don't know what she's saying. I know what she's saying. She's basically saying die. And she commenced to going through the National Guard. And that's, they try to flee, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work out that well. And the last thing we see is her with Garver's arm standing over the last troop, one of the last troops. And that's it. That's Death Scene. I like the progression. Like I say, the story is progressive. It moves at its own pace, but it defines the characters as it goes along. My main worry was getting you invested in the characters themselves so that when something happens, it matters to you. So basically, this story was to take a break. It's a break in the action for you to understand the relationship between Paxton and the person that he's trying to save. All he wanted to do was save this one person if he could. That's it. He wants to save his little sister, basically. Now, at this point, you would say that there's no way that he can get out of this with there's no win for him at this point, you would think. So we'll see as the story goes along. But at this point, it looks bad because his only reason for fighting is gone, it seems. But in our next issue, La Pistola y el Corazón, we'll see how that goes. I'll leave it at that. So if you're looking to catch up on the series, if you're looking to follow the series, it's being covered on Webtoons. Just go to Webtoons, look for Intrepid. And if you like what you see, the art, matter of fact, if you go to Webtoons and you get into the story and you like what you've seen, you can support us on our Patreon. help us produce more issues. We're currently on issue 9, which will be taking the Kickstarter in March. So you can help us that way too, through the Patreon and through the Kickstarter. We'll have more details on the Kickstarter in the coming weeks and the coming months. And we'll let you know how you can support us and how you can get more of this story. Intrepid is a story that it's the only story I really, really want to tell. But it's a story that I think is worth telling because it's about heroes. It's about all the things that I love. I'm a product of the 80s and the 90s, American comics, and then manga like One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, My Hero Academia. And American side, Fantastic Four primarily, but primarily Fantastic Four, but Avengers to an extent, more so Fantastic Four. Matter of fact, Intrepid is a love letter to the Fantastic Four. It might not look like it right now, but it is. It really is. As we go along, you'll see that it's about a group of people who are either biologically or ideologically family, and their exploration of their world and of their universe, for that matter. Yeah. So, like, subscribe to this channel. Again, check out our webtoons, check out our Patreon, and get ready for our Kickstarter. Until next time, stay loose.